And as always, your views and comments are welcome on this show. Look for us on our social media handles. So join us on TV, on Facebook, and on Twitter. We'll be glad to share your thoughts with the rest of the world. Remember, the hashtag is The Pulse. Once again, you're welcome. My name is Francis Aban. Now, occupational hazards come in varying forms, but what do you do when you get a dislocated shoulder as a result of a physical attack by a patient, or get kicked in the abdomen after a cesarean section? Well, that's the situation nurses at the psychiatric hospital have had to endure on a regular basis. But the nurses say they've had just about enough and will not continue work until the situation is addressed. Well, we're learning in the last hour that a crunch meeting is underway between the Finance and Health Ministries to try and find the needed funds to address this issue at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. But with the issue in question, apart from the dangerous working environment, they are also complaining, the nurses, about shortage of basic medical supplies. Joining us is Maxwell Agwagba spent some time at the hospital with no nurses at post and has come through with this report.
Here at Accra Psychiatric Hospital, psychiatric nurses have embarked on a strike. They are very careful not to call it a strike action. They say that it is a protest of what they describe as bad working conditions. So they are saying that they are staying away from unsafe working conditions, and that's what they want to call it, and they don't want to call it a strike. I've been having interactions with some top members of the psychiatric nurses group. Philemon Enin tells me that they are embarking on this strike because some of their nurses have actually been attacked by aggressive patients here at Accra Psychiatric Hospital. And he cites some instances where a nurse, a psychiatric nurse who had undergone a cesarean section, was kicked in the abdomen by an aggressive patient. And as it stands right now, that particular nurse has been hospitalized at the Rich Hospital. Another information that we are picking up with regards to occupational hazard here at Accra Psychiatric Hospital is also about a psychiatric nurse who had a dislocated shoulder after he was also attacked by an aggressive patient. So all these two incidents have triggered the strike action by the psychiatric nurses here at Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Now, if you go to the outpatient department, if you go inside, a lot of the patients are a bit stranded. What we are picking up, in intelligence that we are picking up here, is that the doctors here, they're locked up in a meeting with the management of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. What we are picking up indicates that they want to solidarize with the nurses, because as it stands right now, the outpatient department, they need the services of the nurses to be able to carry out effective prescriptions, effective checkups and all of that here at the outpatient department. But because the nurses are embarking on a strike now, that work is not going to be smooth. So as it stands right now, they want to solidarize with the nurses who are currently on strike. But there's a management meeting that is going to try its best to resolve that matter, to ensure that the doctors do not go on strike. So that meeting will be taking place in some few minutes. But inside the outpatient department, I had interactions with a gentleman who came all the way from Kaswa. He's comfortable with me putting out his name, but let's hold on with that one. He said he came all the way from Kaswa, and we saw the patients that he came to the facility with.
I was here before 6 o'clock. I came from far away, Kaswa, even a site at Kaswa. I set home very early as 3:30, and I got here exactly 6, and it is almost 10 o'clock. I did not see a doctor or a nurse to attend none of a patient here. Why? Why are we living in a country like this? And I even regretted that I'm a Ghanaian. So if nurses or doctors are on strike, they are there for people. They are there for human beings. So government should, attend to them earlier and solve their problem for them. And they always make people suffer. Why? Why are we living in a country like this? 21st century. Look at lot of patients here.
Who did you bring? You brought somebody here?
Yes. Well,
so she's not feeling well. What's her condition right now?
She's having a bit, mentally problem. So we rush her here. And still, we get here before 6 o'clock, and still, no.
The condition is, how bad is her condition? How bad is her condition?
Oh, it is worse. She has been going out to nakedly live, which is very bad. So that is why we, rush her here.
So if you go inside the outpatient department, a lot of patients are still stranded there as they are waiting for the doctors to come out from that meeting to be able to serve them. Now, a lot of the nurses are not excited about their conditions of service. They are saying that the gloves that they use in working really is not available. Detergents and other things that they need, other logistics that they need to execute their work successfully have not been put in place, and they don't have all of these things. And it's one of the reasons why they are embarking on this strike action. Philemon, who I spoke to, he's a member of the psychiatric nurses group earlier, told me that there are times when they are compelled to use polythene bags to treat infections and then wounds for patients. It's a sad situation here at Accra Psychiatric Hospital, and as it stands right now, the nurses are not on duty, they are not working. If you go to the various wards that we have here, the nurses are not present, they are not there taking care of patients. So we have some medical assistants who are currently, few of them who are stationed in some of the wards, who are helping to control the situation. So that's what is happening here at Accra Psychiatric Hospital here in Accra.
Maxwell was there earlier this morning with this report. Now, so what really changed between last week when the nurses served notice and this minute where they have withdrawn their services totally? Well, one of the leaders of these angry nurses sought to answer the questions in this regard.
The workers are not going to their workplace because the place has become so dangerous for us to work in now. The very things we need to work with are not there, i.e. the medication to calm the patients down, gloves, cotton, spirit. They are all not there. Even the food that is given to the patient is low in quality and quantity, and that is also a source of aggression. Even risk allowances in the line of duty, should you be hurt, you don't get anything. I have been hurt 3 times in the line of duty, and I've been taking care of myself. Just last week, a colleague who had 2 previous years was hit in the abdomen, and the incision was ruptured. She has to go back to the theater again. There are other colleagues who were pregnant, who were pushed from behind. They fell with their stomach. They have to be rushed to the theater in the past, and they have a whole lot of complications associated with it. Even somewhere last week, some of our colleagues were hurt. And in all of this, most of the time, the patients have 1 or 2 hallucinations. As in, they start hearing voices, they start saying things. But now that the medications are not there, almost all of them have relapsed. And sometimes you could be in the office working with them, and then about 4 or 5, almost about 10 patients would relapse at the same time and all get aggressive. The only option for us is to run to the nurses station and call backup from other wards to come and help us out, which shouldn't be the case. So all we are saying that the place has become so dangerous for us now, as well as for the patient. But in this instance, we are thinking about the staff's protection first and foremost, because our lives are precious. So we don't want to compromise on our lives.
Okay, now we know that from last week you had served notice of your decision to take this action. From that time up until now, what has happened?
Well, we've met with management, we met with mental health board, the board itself, but at least they told us that at least now, previously they were saying they didn't have money, they have been in talks with the minister day in, day out, but nothing seems to be coming. But the last Thursday we met them, and they are saying that, well, now they heard something fruitful from them, that something will be coming. In fact, they've really worked on things, and things have gotten to the finance ministry now. And we asked, how soon is whatever that is coming from the ministry coming? They were not able to tell us. And as it is, should we even go to the workplace now? The very things to work with are not there, and we don't want to risk our lives. Because a colleague lost an eye in the course of duty. For almost 6 years, they just went for them back. I don't even know whether the person received the workman's compensation before the person died. And so we don't want to risk our life anymore.
So you are doing this as in withdrawing your service for how long?
we are only staying away from the dangerous zone till the place is made safe for us. Because when you read from our condition of service, let me just read a portion of this for you. It says that when a nurse finds himself in any situation at the workplace which he has reasonable cause to believe presents imminent and serious danger to his life, safety, and health, the nurse should report immediately this fact to the immediate supervisor and run away from the environment in our condition of service. So that's exactly what we are doing, because we maintain this and been in it virtually almost every year. This keeps coming. And as I told you earlier on, I've been hurt 3 times. All my other colleagues who were hurt, they took care of themselves. There's nothing like risk allowance or even health insurance policy for us.
Okay, but are you also considering? Yes, your safety is important, but what about the patients who you've mentioned have relapsed? They have no attention today, no medical attention. You are not there. What happens to them? What happens to these ones who have become aggressive, yes, but are also suffering as a result of your decision not to go to work?
As you rightly said, we started from this issue somewhere last week. We started with even a sit-down, we're going to the workplace but not working. In all of this, the patient is even a danger to himself as well as other patients. Now let's assume you even have a relative there, and then in this crisis, another patient gets aggressive and then kills that person or even kills himself, and then you get there and you are told, oh, your brother has killed himself or has killed somebody, because the very things they need to be worked on are not there. We are really in a serious situation as we speak, and this is not the first time this issue is coming. It's been a persistent issue virtually year in, year out. Now when we fight for some of these things, we get some small quantity, we go back to work. Within 2 weeks, we come back and still cry for the same things again. And we are saying enough is enough. Okay, but in all of this, the patients, and even in all of this, they are also increasing their workload, because most of the patients were just ready and about going home, and now they've relapsed. So meaning it's going to what? Increase their length or the duration of their stay at the hospital. Okay, but which shouldn't be the case.
But we also know that, and you've already mentioned that the Finance Ministry is doing something about this. We know the President has said in the past that mental health is a priority to him. In fact, the details are in the green, in their manifesto. Why won't you be patient and wait and see what happens even for this week before you decide to withdraw your service altogether?
Like I said earlier on, this is not the first time we are encountering this. Sometimes we go, they give us even when I asked the Mental Health Authority, they met the Ministry of Finance, and they said something was coming. They met them so they could have been informed that, oh, this thing that we are doing for you could come in maybe today or tomorrow. They themselves were not able to tell us. And we've been at this place before. They keep on giving us the promises and all that. And at the end of the day, people are getting hurt, and the little monies we have are the same monies we are using to take care of this patient. We have elderly patients there who are hypertensive, so we give them this antihypertensive drugs. And most of them don't have now. And we know the complications of it, some running into strokes and whatever. So sometimes we dip our hands in our own pockets to buy these medications for them so that they don't get to those states. So it's not just about the psychotropic medications you're talking about, but these physical ones as well. Because the elderly, for hypertension and what have you, you need to take care of them as well.
So you're saying you don't believe in what government says now, that they are trying to get you what you need?
That is not what I'm saying that I don't believe, because I don't work there. My duty is to work at the hospital, and the very things to work with is not there. So if I should go there now, I'm going to risk my life. Should I get hurt or even die, nothing comes to me. And we have families to take care of. Even, what do you call it, detergents and disinfectants to even clean the hospital. They are not there.
I get you, sir, and I know what the problem is. What I'm asking now is this. Yes, we know what the situation is. The President has already shown his commitment for all of this. Why won't you, for instance, petition the President and say, look, we are in a situation where we can't bear this anymore. Step in or we will leave post altogether.
I quite remember the last time we demonstrated on this issue, there were similar promises we had that we will not visit the issue again. That's about 3 years or so ago. And 3 years down the line, back to the same issue again. So we are just back and forth with this issue. It's high time this issue is solved for us once and for all, because mental health issues are national security issues. Somebody even threatened to kill the President. That should have been a wake-up call to all of us to take mental health serious. But mental health has been neglected for far too long. And that is where we are today.
You think the President is paying lip service to mental health in this country?
Well, I can't say that But should the things get there, then we know, thank God, the things are in, and we would run and get to work. Because that is what we've been trained to do.
So clearly, the nurses have made up your mind on what to do. They say, give us what we need to work, or we will not return to our post. Well, the director of the hospital, Dr. Pinamanapao, says the management is doing all it can to resolve the matter.
I've been through the hospital this morning. The nurses told us last week they weren't going to come if they do not get what they needed for their work. This morning, they are not here, but you still have some of the senior nurses on the wards. One of them, I mean, in every ward you have at least one senior nurse there, and then we've been able to put some health assistants in the wards to look after the wards. But of course, you go through the wards and then you see that because they are not there, the work is deficient, sort of, yeah.
Wow. So what is the hospital doing to resolve this issue?
Well, we've communicated this to the Mental Health Authority, and they in turn communicated it to the ministry, and we are hoping to hear from them soon. But we are also still in talks with the nurses to, well, for them to compromise a bit and come in, hoping that the ministry would soon come to our aid, because we really need them to come to our aid.
We're picking up some intelligence that the doctors are also planning to solidarize with the nurses because of the same issue. How true is that?
Well, last week, even though the nurses were around, they weren't at the outpatients department. They went onto the wards to help their colleagues on the wards. So it was left with just the prescribers running the OPD. And it's been difficult. Like they communicated their frustrations to us, because if the doctor is in there, he or she needs the nurse to help him or her. For instance, if the patient needs an injection, you need your nurse to give the injections and so on. And the doctor cannot leave the patient, seeing another patient, to come and attend to give injections and so on. So they've been a bit frustrated, and they told us that, they alerted us that if the nurses are not coming to work, then it will be difficult to continue giving services, and that's where we are.
Okay, so meeting with the doctors is happening this morning?
I'm on my way to meet them,
okay.
Yes.
But can you maybe tell us a little bit about what would be happening in the other meeting? What exactly are you talking about? Are you going to convince them to back down on their decision to also to solidarize with the nurses? Actually,
they will not be. They are not stopping services.
Okay.
In total, they are going onto the wards. We still have patients on the wards, so they are going onto the wards to see the other patients in there. We are also trying to see if some of these patients are well and can go home. You know that we do what we call repatriation. So we are trying to see that if some of them are on the wards that can go home, then we can do some repatriation.
Okay. Finally, before you go, a lot of people are stranded here at the outpatients department. Are you able to tell us what exactly is causing this morning?
Well, like I said, the doctors showed us or told us about their frustrations at running the OPD, and that's why they were thinking of suspending their services at the OPD. So if they suspend their services at the OPD, then it's going to be difficult to see the patients at the OPD. So that's what we are looking at. I'm going to meet them, and we are yet to see what we would do to the patients at the outpatient.
Okay, so just some bit of clarification. They are planning to close the OPD, but as of now, they have not. And you're going to meet them to see how best they can back down on that.
Not close the OPD. The OPD is opened. Okay. The OPD is open. They are not closing the OPD, but they don't want to continue giving services at the OPD without their nurses. Yes.
Lastly, before you go, we've heard a lot of talk about how some of the nurses do not have basic work logistics, gloves and other things. How bad is the situation?
Well, Maxwell, I think I told you I think about a couple of months ago that we were in this crisis. We didn't have, first I told you about the food that we didn't have for patients, and I told you about detergents and, consumables that we use to work, like gloves, like, even stationery that we work. What's a bit difficult? I think we've been...
So for management, they are doing all they can to resolve the matter. But as I mentioned at the top of the hour, we know that the Finance and Health Ministries are both in a meeting as we speak to try and get the needed funds to help the hospital so the nurses get back to work. We'll bring an update shortly. Our correspondent is actually monitoring that meeting. We'll bring you details in just a moment. But let's head over to the courts now, because it's been a season of court cases, and as one is dealt with, another begins to pop up. Two court cases, all election related, came up at the Accra High Court today. One was dismissed while the other was adjourned to tomorrow. Independent presidential candidate Jacob Osei Yeboah filed a suit to compel the Electoral Commission to amend the electoral regulations to allow the EC delete the names of persons who do not show up for verification from the voters register. Another case was that of the APC's Flagbra Hassan Ayaraga, who is fighting his disqualification by the Electoral Commission. Joseph Akable is our man who covered both cases. He joins me now in the studio. Joseph, let's begin with that of Jacob Osei Yeboah. What happened in court today on that case?
First and foremost, Francis, just a bit about the case. Now, he filed the suit just around the time that there were lots of talks about the fact that we had some NHIS registrants on the voters register, as well as some foreigners also perceived to be on the register. And now he headed to the court. The point he's making is that if you look at the stats that was released by the EC, it shows that a good number of those who are on the register, in terms of the numbers, those who are deceased and those who are minors are more than NHIS registrants. So he filed the suit asking that the court orders the EC to amend the CI 91 such that what it will mean is that for those who fail to show up at the registration center where the voters register is exhibited, those names will be deleted from the register.
Okay, Jacob, Joseph, we'll actually bring those details to you in just a moment. But let's hear from Jacob Osei Yeboah today after the ruling. Then we'll get some more details from what happened in the courtroom.
I would like to respect the decision of the court. And as all of you are aware, it's tomorrow that we're going to have the actual verdict that we can read with regards to the reason. I think the court is being cautious, and I do agree with the court as well, looking at the sensitivities around. But I'm pretty sure that posterity will actually give the true verdict. And I strongly believe that at the end of the day, it's for the best or for the good of all of us as Ghanaians for us to move forward. No, it was just simple. You know that we have the political parties law at 574, whereby the political parties are being asked to have at least 2/3 of offices. And we know that most of them do not have. And again, the biometric voter register, there's no way that we deal with the dead as to how to delete the dead. And I use my expertise in it to advise EC that there's a way to go about it in order to clean it. And I think during the exhibition, the EC did that. Most of the issues that we raised, honestly, the EC started working at it. And so if at this point in time, in the wisdom of the courts, they want to dismiss the case, I think it's for the good of the whole country for us to move forward so that we do not have any crisis so far as the December 7th election is concerned. So I think that is the wisdom of the court, and all of us must respect that.
So he is respecting the decision of the court, but let's find out the reasons given by the court for this decision. Joseph, give me the details, and as you can imagine, Jacob, Joseph, the confusion can come in sometimes. What were the details today in court?
Well, it's one of the kind of rulings that the judge delivers and says, later on I'll be communicating exactly why I arrived at that decision to you. But more importantly, what he wanted to achieve is that he's of the view that the Electoral Commission system of cleaning the voters register is not sufficient. And he makes the point that when the Supreme Court ruled that the EC should delete some names of NHIS registrants, he says those people are not many, but in actual sense, number of deceased people on the register is about 4.1% of the register. And he says if you want to target someone, you should be targeting those people. And when you open the register for people to come and verify their names, what happens to those who don't go and verify their names? So he wanted the court to order the EC to have all those who fail to show up at the registration centers to verify their names deleted. So as it were, if today the register is open and Francis Aban, you don't show up to verify your name will be taken off the register. But the court didn't grant that. The EC had argued in actual fact in court that, I mean, such a matter has not made an application directly to the EC requesting for such to be done, that you can go ahead and say that because of that you want to force the court to order the EC. So those were some of the reasons that the EC put up as a defense in court. But the court disagreed with Jacob Osei Yeboah and is telling him that he should come back tomorrow for the reasons. Okay, so we'll wait for those reasons. But we also know that for Jacob Osei Yeboah, much as he's raising these concerns, he is guaranteed to be on the ballot paper for the presidential elections. Let's talk about the other who got disqualified, unhappy, and is in court seeking for the court to reverse that decision. I'm talking about the APC's Hassan Ayariga, the flag bearer. What happened in court with his case today? Last week when proceedings took place, the court directed that the lawyers for the EC and lawyers for Mr. Hassan Ayariga file their written statement by Friday, after they were supposed to make oral arguments in court today. Now, both parties failed to comply with that directive from the judge. So when we went to court today, Hassan Ayariga's lawyer first apologized. He said he had not been well, so because of that, he couldn't file that. Whilst the EC lawyer said they filed that just about 10 minutes before proceedings started. And Hassan Ayariga's lawyer indicated that they were just about filing that, so they will be doing that before proceedings end. So because of that, his lawyer again, Hassan Ayariga's lawyer, requested that because of their inability to file, they want the judge to strike out the oral arguments entirely so that they will present the written statements. The judge has a look at it. If she has some questions she wants to ask the parties, she can go ahead and ask them and they will reply her. So subsequently, the judge adjourned hearing to tomorrow, asking them that she's going to have a look at the statements tomorrow. If she has any questions, she'll ask them. If no questions, she'll fix a date for ruling.
But as you can imagine, every time you go to court, every time Mr. Ayariga comes to court, he has something to say. What did he have to say today?
This time around, it's more of confidence in the judgment that is not a date has not even been set for it to be delivered. And he is saying that he is confident he will get a ruling in his favor because he believes he has a better case than the PPP's Dr. Paco Sindum, who got a ruling in his favor.
Let's hear from him then.
This morning, you realize that the lawyer from the EC side said that they actually couldn't file on Friday. And for that matter, they were pleading with the judge and that they had just finished filing a minute ago. And for that matter, the judge should look into the matter and give them another date for them to come for the argument. Or the second option is that she should actually look into the both matters, read into both arguments, and based on it, they both agree that she can give a ruling based on the evidence and the attachment they have put so far with regards to their cases. So the judge actually listened to both sides and adjourned the case till tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, for her to have enough time to read through their arguments and then probably or possibly give judgment tomorrow or set another day. I think we have even a better case than the PPP. In our case, we have properly filled the documents. All subscribers have actually subscribed to our documents. But according to EC, 2 out of our subscribers actually subscribe to another candidate. In Ghana, we don't have data system whereby one can check who has subscribed for you or subscribed for another candidate. We actually don't also have to go to the other candidates asking or requesting for their documents to know whether
my people or to compare and contrast to see whether some of my members have subscribed to another. So our case is, I think that is much, much better than that of the PPP. I think that the court will give us justice. As a political party, all we are seeking for is the opportunity to run an elections, that is to be part of an elections, and have a presidential candidate in the 2016 general elections. We are not asking for more. That's what we're asking for.
Mr. Arega always has something to say every time he heads to the court. We'll see what happens tomorrow when proceedings continue. We'll go for a break. Now, when we come back, we'll do some analysis. First, with the CPP's manifesto. It was outdoors over the weekend. What are the devil in the detail? We'll bring you that. Plus, the MPP's Nana Akufo-Addo is asking government to come clear on the amount of money accrued in the fund which holds the 5% Tier 2 contributions of public sector workers. Why is he asking for that? Details after the break. Stay with us.